and growth not being full, and something which never gets discussed that many of these babies become early hypertensives, they develop ischemic heart diseases, and so many other problems. So, question is, what is normal? So, if you're going to look at normal, it may mean differently for different person. And when you're trying to predict normal or read a literature, this would be the important thing is what is that is going to be. So, the whole purpose of making scientific meetings like this and trying to predict is not for individual babies. It is to try and improve care processes. If you had not done predictions, if you had not tried to see which group is getting better, whether it's a cooling group or non-cooling group, whether it's incubator care, whether it's surfactant, CPAP, we wouldn't know. So the whole purpose really would be to try and improve care processes. In individual cases, some kind of anticipatory guidance may be possible. I think this is what we have to look at. When I was doing the follow-up clinics, when I was a resident under Dr. Narayan in 2000, many patients used to come after they get discharged from NICU. They used to come and half sleep from our duties. We used to still go and sit in those clinics. But I used to wonder, weight to Lelia, head circumference to Lelia. I mean, next, what? How am I helping this family? And I wanted to know that, is there something we can offer them which is going to make it better that they have come all the distance to try and have this care process. So, when we are looking at prediction in an ICU, we should be looking at, is it going to make something better for the baby? So, one simplistic thing which may be like antenatal steroids, some of it you've already heard and you know, but if you look at even the smallest babies, as small as maybe less than 1,000 grams where enough guidelines are not there whether they should use, all you can just see is the last part that giving steroids go. So, one thing we can do creating or predicting future is if you forgot to give or you missed an opportunity to give antenatal steroids or healthcare has not percolated down to that level where every obstetric unit would give antenatal steroids, then you're predicting that more babies would die and more babies would have bad developmental outcome. I must admit we are not using Maxel. How many of you are using Maxel in dozen 32 weekers already in the perinatal care? Sanjay is using and I think some of you are. We are still not ground out of the old habit, we are not using, but it seems to decrease cerebral palsy significantly. Human milk is another area. Again, as residents, we used to get bored of this human milk business. We thought it was only meant for community medicine and always everything that is breast milk is good. That time Amit won an award paper because he was talking about breast milk and decreasing pain. I remember, and we hated Amit for presenting a paper breast milk. But now as we learn, everything that goes to the baby's brain, everything that goes to the baby's eye, all those proteins that the baby needs, everything is going to come only from human milk. So every effort that is made, I think we have to go one step further than the milk bank concept. We have started for the last 3 years something very aggressive. As soon as the baby gets admitted and we're talking about ventilation, surfactant, we're making them buy a breast pump then and there. And so they start pumping now like a baby would have been doing when the mother was there. Surely they won't get any milk on the first and second day. But the third day, if they're pumping, I think you can jump one step beyond. There's no need for a breast milk bank also. You will be getting mother's own milk as you need it. And ROP studies showing that if you use any breast milk, half the babies would have less severe ROP. And if you use only breast milk, definitely decrease in ROP, NEC and whatnot. So this is predicting outcome and you can easily see this is not what baby's milk is meant to be for. Now, I'm not going to go into detail of this therapy part because the whole presentation is about prediction, but care processes would include two parts. Best science, we all sit here and we know breast milk is the best. We know that doing less oxygen, less CPAP, but you have to go back and see how it gets implemented. Deepak was telling in the morning, if you don't have data, what is being done in the unit, if you don't know how much sepsis is there, then it is just bad. We presented on our own unit audit about all the 6 moments of hand wash being done, and before the audit was started, doctors' compliance was 0% and nurses was 12%. And after the training process happened, the drill went up by about 15-20% in both arms. So I remember the chairperson telling me at that time in that hall that your unit is not clean, achhi unit, you should go back and work hard. But I really should not sure if they go back and measure it will be any better in their own unit. So avoiding excessive therapies, we heard of that. I'm not going to talk much about that now. Again, family-centered care, we heard already Anu talking about it. This is a simple experiment, keep repeating in my presentation, sorry for the poor quality there, that when they patched a preterm mice on one eye and didn't patch the other eye, the eye which was getting normal visual stimulus, now nice dendrites were formed and the one which was not, there had no dendritic formation. So the baby needs the right stimulus. Now some again doable things, predicting therapies, thyroid function tests, we are doing twice a day. twice in the unit, once at the third, fourth day, and again repeating after 2 to 3 weeks. Preterm babies may not present their TSH rises early, so we have started screening, but I don't know many units are still doing a second screen or not. It will be worthwhile. And even in the follow-up clinic, I remember one of the twins recently not doing well, and just wishful thinking that something will change for the baby, we repeated thyroid function, and that baby had a borderline thyroid function after treating it in good. So don't forget simple doable things, ROP and refraction. We were trying to do one of the resident data of trying to look at 3-year outcomes because we had only done 1-year outcome. We recalled all the babies, and a large number of them babies either themselves found out they had a refraction problem, didn't tell us. Some of them we told them to check, and many of them had refraction problems. And I know, I'm wearing a specs for last 3-4 years, my life is impossible if I lose it now. So if a baby goes to school and a simple thing that he can do a refraction correction, nothing like cooling or xenon, just getting the specs right, and then he will be able to have better life. And correction of hearing, people have a wrong conception, darwaje ki awaaz aayi thak, बच्चे ने सुना, बच्चे के hearing ठीक है. That is not the sound he is meant to hear. This is the sound he is meant to hear. If he can't hear this, then he doesn't leverage language. If he is hearing this, he only hears noise in language. So, I think hearing assessment. Now coming to the so-called assessment part. One blanket statement we'll make is that currently for structure and function, what is best available probably is MRI is the best tool available. There may be special and more types of MRIs like trying to look at the tracts, look at fraction anisotropy, but that is the best test. And general movement assessment, we went to a session to try and learn. It's very tough to learn actually. I think you need a special training to learn because the term babies move differently, preterm move differently. And in spite of looking at the babies and videos several times, when they ask you to score a baby, again you go wrong. But the test seems to be the best predictor still. So, it's a busy slide, but I just make it simple that in term babies, they are supposed to make variety of movements like that. That's called fidgety movements. So in that stage, if they are not making this variety of movements, then these babies are going to not do well. And similarly, if they make stereotyped, cramped movements, then they do poorly. So this is the best available predictor tool in the NICU for term babies to try and predict what is their developmental outcome, better than MRI also apparently. We have been doing all these tests like Amil-Tesson, and there's so much subjectivity for those who are doing it. Many times my therapist sends and says this is done, and I feel the baby performs differently in my OP. So they are trying to make everything now software based and objective. So this pull to sit, which my teacher taught me when I was a resident, or taking the baby the whole cycle and trying to measure the angles, they have videographed it, trying to objectively see at every 0.5 second, 1 frame change, how the baby would go with the head, what angle would change. Basically trying to make it objective, and they found it works as good as an MRS in trying to predict the outcomes if you can do. So it will look complicated for a person who makes the software, but for you it will be like a phone app. You just take a video and take the picture, and then it will tell you classify the baby into good, bad, or not so good. And this is the correlation they have shown. Again, MRI also they have tried to grade, because what happened in a unit like mine is we started doing MRIs because it was available. But who was reading the MRI? It was the adult neurologist. And they would say, this baby is having severe demyelinating white matter disease. So I was very worried because I read in the wall page that they don't have a white matter myelinated at all. Then where is the demyelination going to happen? So there were not people who could read these MRIs. And I think this is what happened. There are one software which is trying to look at automated MRI reading, or trying to just give objective scores of this is what a good MRI and bad MRI is. And I'll skip this slide, we heard this from Kapra already. This is Dr. Mercury himself came to India in a meeting in Delhi in about 2003 or 4, an Hippocrates meeting, and he made our life simpler. He said, look at only 4 types of MRI patterns. If you see this kind of MRI pattern and all white on the basal ganglia and everything else looking this, then this is a bad asphyxiated baby. Either they are bad or very bad. And these are the ones less, and there are some white hopes there. All very bad white matter, again all bad. And mild white matter changes, most of them are good. So this kind of thing you can actually share with your adult radiologist and ask him to read out and tell you. But don't try to find these more than this. Now question is, why are we making this prediction? Suppose a baby is discharged from the ICU and you're telling you're going to be bad. The next question, what do they ask you? After we do ultrasound, there is a PVL. Doctor, can't you give some medicine to reverse this PVL? Then he said, please face it, it's over. Whatever PVL was to happen, happened in the perinatal period. This is just a reflection of this. And after I make this butchery statement to the family, the one thing I ask myself is, why do I have to do the scan? Do I have to really tell him these findings and demoralize him even further than trying to not do a scan at all? So, if we are trying to do some predictive therapy investigation, it should change the course of the baby's health in some way. So, what are we trying to look at now? Can we make predictions a little earlier in the ICU? Can we then change therapies accordingly? So, Stephen Hawking felt that it's not possible, very little prediction can be made ahead of time, but still, let's see what we can do. So, these are the kind of data we heard. Tushar was showing this data from various units, and this is what we use to tell parents when they come in as a 23, 24 weeker. Some of you may be having pre-printed sheets like this, some of them tell out of memory, and you tell them that, okay, if you are a 30 weeker, this is the risk of death and this is the risk of bad outcome, and if you are more, then numbers just go up. The questions they ask is, doctor, in your experience, you tell me, what will be my baby? Then if you say it will be okay, I'll go all ahead, I'll borrow money, I'll do everything right. So, can we predict a given baby? Are they just the same? So, when we try to look at how early we can do it in our unit. So about 5 or 6 years back, we collated all the data we had from babies less than 33 weeks for nearly 10 years in our unit and tried to look at whether we can at least say at discharge which babies are good and bad. I showed you some kind of score we evolved, and in that simple score which only looked at the gestation, weight, whether they got steroids or not, whether they had asphyxia or not, got ventilated, shock, what is called the inventory we did, and if they had a low score of 1 and 2, which most of the babies less than 33 weeks had, 95% babies had a low score, they would have only 4.5% risk of 1 year outcome being bad. If they have high score, then they would have 20% risk of this one, and then we said this will be helpful. This will help you to tell which baby needs to come back all the way, all the distance to a follow-up center, which baby can go back to the primary clinic and do this. My mentor after this, Dr. M.K. Sinha, who helped me to learn whatever in follow-up, he liked the study, and then this was scaled up to a multi-centric trial which is still going on. Karthik Sir's unit, Arvind Shenoy Sir's unit, about 20 units are enrolling these babies. Something like 4,000 babies are already enrolled in trying to validate whether this code will work and actually trying to use our resources better. I'm sorry again, the slide is not just from the paper, we just taken it, but gestation, need for extensive resuscitation, 1 week ventilation, symptomatic hypoglycemia and bad ultrasound. So if 2 of these were there, it's okay. If 3 were there, baby was having a bad outcome. These kind of scores are available in many, and I found some scores, calculators on net, which can help you. So, which included not just gestation, it included sex of the baby, whether you got steroids or not, whether you're singleton. So you punch in all the numbers and then it will give you a prediction score. And if this was having less items, there was another one which included too many items like this. 7th day oxygen need, 7th day pressure need, anytime you read it. So these kind of calculators are there, but this only goes on to share one thing, that one single item is not going on to predict what is going to happen to this baby. We know again, nutrition is on one side. People are trying to look at weight. Winrock trial is there, where they said if you're not growing well, then you get more ROP. The same concept Chinese borrowed and said, let us look at whether the whole developmental outcome has something to do with weight, and they found if you're not gaining weight well, then development may not be good. Implication, if you focus more on nutrition, maybe they will do it. It's only maybe. We have to prove it. Because it may just maybe the bad ones are not gaining weight. We don't know that nutrition is responsible. There's no end to number of trials people have done. These proteins, I don't even know them. I just found them on the net. Some KL6 and CC16 are plasma proteins which get leaked out. I think Vinny sir will be knowing. His area of interest is respiratory BPD and going to the molecular level. These, if they leak into plasma, they predict BPD, and they say BPD has something to do with bad brain outcomes. So let us see if there is an association between these plasma proteins and bad outcomes. So there is no end to people trying to find and predict, and they found some association between these. Now, if you find earlier, that's the point. If you find earlier, let's say at 10th day, at 15th day, which baby is going the bad way, which is going the good way, then you can select the right number of babies for doing cooling. Because if the bad baby is cooled, he may actually become worse. Or right baby which will get more different type of nutrition or different type of approach. So that's the whole idea to try and do. So one trial which is going on now, which is trying to say best items we knew were, for anatomy was MRI, and functional assessment was general movement. So if these, instead of doing them at term, can you do them at 30 weeks and still make a prediction? So all these, including the Hammersmith tool and many other tools are being combined. This is only a protocol still, it is not yet published as a result. They're trying to look at, I'm sorry again, very bad quality after pasting it here, that at 30 weeks, 32 weeks, 40 weeks, they will do these kind of assessments and find out whether they can predict outcome rather than waiting till term. So if you find out early, at 30 weeks itself, maybe you can make a course correction. This is research part, most of which I also don't understand, but just curious. Can you predict even earlier? Can you predict baby's outcome maybe much earlier? So early ultrasound being done on the 5th or 6th day or even earlier by 3rd day, and they put patches. Nowadays ultrasounds can measure the densities and the grayscales and look at areas of grayscales around what you call early periods, only if it lasts more than 1 week. That kind of changes, and does it predict outcome? They said it's very good. Italian study. And even further, within 12 hours in extremely small preterm babies, they try to look at EEG patterns. Now this is a typical EEG at 12 hours of a very small baby, which shows large interburst intervals and some bursts. And this is a mature pattern which starts after 3 days. So if we're looking at this type of burst patterns, in this study they could predict which baby is going to do bad and which is going to do good. So people are trying to go back as early as 12 hours. Now this is science. What do we practice? What do you go back home and do? How do you predict your babies? How do you help your babies? So what we practice is, I told you we have a list of risk factors which we have developed as a score. So as soon as the baby comes in, we keep circling the risk factors. He was born at less than 30 weeks, we circle the risk factor. He had shock, we circle risk factor. Sepsis, we circle risk factor. And anyone would agree the same 30-weeker who got steroids, no shock, and no ventilation would do much better than the same 30-weeker who had different morbidities. So once I get this book in my OP follow-up, all babies look the same when they come back. If I see that they have many on the right side, then I'm more worried. Measuring their head circumference in the NICU, measuring their weight gain, I just told you about the Winrow trial and the development with weight gain. And then some intervention lists are there again. Some who is not showing clearly here. Starting breast milk on the first day, kangaroo mother care, non-UTT sucking. So this is a timetable checklist, what has to be done on the first day, 3rd day. I just need 1 minute. And we used to keep teaching in workshops that this has to be done. When I used to go back to my own unit, things were not happening. So I was very angry with my residents that why they were not doing what I want them to do. Now we made a simple checklist, just like you give IV fluids, glucose, 6th hour you do. This checklist is there. On the first day they have measured head circumference. Otherwise, the first time head circumference is ever measured is when the baby gets discharged. Now, how do you get the trajectory? But if the checklist is there, at least a nurse will measure it. You start breast milk, you start non-UTT sucking. So these developmental therapies could finally take place. You do a Hammersmith tool. A hearing chart is there. ROP chart is there. The booklet that starts with the baby on the first day, and we follow up till at least 18 months. One might try and conclude for the presentation that this is terrible. Anyway, you can't make a good prediction. Then why listen to something like that? We have to start somewhere. Doing nothing is even worse. We have to try and make predictions to try and improve care processes. And well said by Bill Gates that a baby started bad, that doesn't mean you should end up bad. We have to try and do it help. If you start as a 26-week or an asphyxia, let us try and make him better than at least where he started. And what I would request is that the only way for all of you to remain safe in practice is if the baby is safe. If baby is not safe, the doctor is not safe. If the baby has not done an ROP screening and has gone home and never come back, who will be responsible? Us. If they don't have vaccination, who is responsible? They, because they have a vaccination card. So let them have a booklet which says, with parent simple language, this is the date when you have to do ROP, this is why you have to do it. This is the date when you have to do hearing screen, please take an appointment. These are the things you have to do in the NICU, your resident has to do it. If this kind of a booklet is there, the baby will be safer, you will be safer. So we have a soft copy of this book which I share with anybody who wishes, and there is no need to have any copyright. You can just take this, change the cover to your hospital cover, change that part of the protocol which doesn't suit you. If you don't want to do 2 thyroid functions, you can do 1. You don't want to do 2 ultrasounds, you can do 1. But please have a book of follow-up right from first day of birth to discharge. And after that also. Then only your baby is going to have a better outcome and you can predict what is going to be. Thank you for that.
We will take a question from all the